So we have all this, great advice that you've shared, great ideas, examples you've shared. For the next question, I'm going to ask you about supporting people of two different audiences. And so I would first ask, what advice would you give to people who are supporting those who are making instructional media, maybe like a media specialist or a media strategist, someone whose job isn't to teach, but to, make the others look good. And then what advice would you give to someone who doesn't have a media team? They're just kind of that one person, I'm just teaching my course and I'm doing the best I can. So two very, very different audiences.
Yeah. So I think supporting those who are supporting media.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really good question. Hmm. I would say it would be to try to, for those who are supporting those who are doing media, try to be, I think, being very collaborative, but then
Yeah.
also trying to inspire and support innovation. Because I think if you're talking about online education, online anything is a fast-paced, ever-evolving
Hmm.
um, thing, especially with AI explosion. And
Yeah.
so I think being collaborative, but then trying to inspire and support innovation and trying new things and being taking risks, supporting that, but obviously within reason, but
Oh yeah. Yeah.
trying to think about supporting the idea of how can I help give the resources to this group to think about how we could do things differently, better. That would be my main advice for the first question.
Yeah.
And then I think for the second question is those who are if you're an instructor who's working on instructional content, you're kind of all on your own. Some of
Hmm.
the thoughts I would have there is first and foremost, and this is just something that I always try to do, is always try to be putting yourself in the shoes of the student. I
Hmm.
think, and anytime you're building something for somebody, and no matter what industry or whatever you're doing, you always want to try to remember to have empathy for your user. Meet them where they're at, and I think that's an important thing. We're all learning all the time something new. We're all, whether it's you're actually taking um, a higher education course online, or you just are trying to learn a new recipe that you want to make. We're all learning something. So I think trying to um, be empathetic of students and put yourself in their shoes, especially if you're talking about like adult learners.
Hmm.
Um, you know, and then I would say also try not to feel like you have sort of an expectation of like, I have to do this, I have to do that. If I don't do this, then, if I don't make a lecture for every lesson, I'm not being an effective instructor. Again, coming back to something I said before is, you know, don't think about it so binary in that way. Think about, again, is what I'm creating adding value, unique value for the students? Is it supporting them in their learning? And I think that's something that I would say. So if that means that you feel like I don't really need to create a lecture for this lesson, maybe I just need to create a short video that kind of sets up the reading. Um, but in this next lesson, I need to create a lecture.
Yeah.
Don't be too locked into sort of I have to do this. Again, take a try to look at the outline of the course unobjectively and think about it as, you know, um, where do you need to create that media content? Where is it needed?
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Absolutely love it. As our conversation concludes, Nick shares his perspectives on artificial intelligence and instructional media.